Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. This is Hollywood on the Rocks. I am Chris Gore from Film Thread. Happy to have you here on a Wednesday. Well, it might be a Wednesday afternoon, but also might be happy hour for you, depending on where you are on this globe. Happy to see you. Let's get things started. A lot to talk about, including, well, you're not going to believe it. Halloween is coming up, and I'm already very excited. Yes, it's true. I am excited about Halloween. Alan Ng is here. He is fresh from his trip to Cinequest, the Cinequest Film Festival. He's going to tell us all about that. Let's get it started. Let's go. Hail chat. Happy Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all. Before I bring Alan on, just one quick thing. So I know it's August. It's August still. Halloween is just around the corner. Halloween is the best holiday because there are no relatives involved. There's no, where are we going for Thanksgiving dinner? We had Christmas at your place last year. There's no negotiation. There's just parties. And what costume am I going to wear? I almost wore this actually to the FNT meetup in Vegas. I wanted to go to the FNT meetup in Vegas. And I wanted to loudly say, hey, wear a mask. Wear a mask, everybody. This is my mask that I got out with my Halloween stuff. I found this in my Halloween stuff, and I want your opinion. I want your opinion in the chat before we talk about House of the Dragon. We talk about indie films. We talk about a lot of different things today, but your opinion on this. This was in the Halloween decorations that I dragged out. Okay. Take a look carefully at this. Obviously it's a Harry Potter. It's a Harry Potter decoration. I mean, it's a Christmas ornament, but look very closely, if you will, at this. Does something look off to you about this? It's Harry Potter. He's on a broomstick, which, they use to fly around in the Harry Potter universe. And why does this seem a little off to me? Why does this seem off to me? It was in my deck. Alan, I need Alan Ng. Alan Ng, the editor-in-chief of Film Thread. Alan, how's it going?
I have such bad thoughts about that one.
And what anyone in the chat has anything to say about this? I found this. I'm like, first of all, why do I have this in my? It seems like a Christmas ornament, yeah. But what is the deal with this, Alan?
You want me to tell you what I think now, or you want to wait for people to chime in?
Oh, let's wait for the chat. Yeah. Let's use here before.
I'll probably take what I'm thinking it is.
So. Okay. Well, good to see you, Alan. You were off for the weekend at Cinequest. We're gonna get your report, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it was great. I love Cinequest.
All right. Well, I love it. I wish I was invited there.
I believe you were invited there.
I think, it's true. I can't say I was invited. Yeah. Shucksy, who's a member, thank you so much, says, that's not a broomstick. Yeah. Well, there you go. And Red Terror 1978 says, nothing like spending the afternoon with Chris Gore and Alan's salty nipples. Now, wait a sec. I thought that Alan's nipples were chocolatey delicious. Isn't that normally the case?
My nipples look like milk duds.
I think you're thinking of this video. Well, you asked for it, you want it, there it is. CD Stein 69 for $4.99, also a member. Thank you for that. Apparently, Harry is a little happy to catch the golden snitch. Yeah. It just when you look at it,
make him very high.
When you look very closely, it just looks. I don't know. I think there could be dark thoughts. Yeah, there could be dark thoughts. But I see Isaac Abrams is here. Shucksy, the Bad Bandito, Luther Talbert. Yeah, it's starting. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's starting. It's starting. John Manilang is here. John, I got your self-addressed stamped envelope, and I am mailing off a little envelope of gifts today. So John, thank you for sending. It really happens. Yes, if you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, I will send you this bumper sticker. And if it's a larger envelope, I'll fit more stuff in it. So John, I sent you something very special because you're a member and you deserve it. So, and George the Giant Slayer is here, is also a member. George, thank you for becoming a member. George, I think I'll be talking to him later this afternoon, but George was on a live stream I was on Midnight's Edge in the morning with Script Doctor, Culture Casino, and the whole gang from Midnight's Edge of the morning. And George was on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
And now he has access to exclusive member only content on the
click on the members. Yeah. Click on the members only tab. And there are videos, pictures, and more stuff coming. We're going to be expanding that section. So here you go. And Flaccid Phoenix says, give us the nipples. Flaccid, you're late. You're late there, Flaccid. But well, there will be more nipples as the show goes. So thank you for that. And I think Shucksy has the best comment. Shucksy says, Harry is having a stroke of good luck. Well, it certainly appears that he is. But what does this have to do with my Halloween decorations? It's just sort of made it in there. Yeah. Okay. Look, my life has been very scheduled lately, trying to finish up some projects that have been years in the making. And so I like to sort of my next thing, I got the box out. That doesn't mean I'm putting the Halloween decorations up, but the box is out. I'm ready to begin. It is August. I'm going to wait until September. I got to wait at least another week. So before we actually talk about House of the Dragon, and I want to get your comments on House of the Dragon, that'll be the first thing that we talk about. Alan, what was Cinequest like? And we're going to talk about the movies that you saw there later in the show. But just give us and also I've been looking on the members tab. Are you posting videos or pictures from your
I just posted one last night.
Okay, I'm going to look at
Hammer Theater. Yeah.
Nice.
And great comments. Thank you, everybody. No, Cinequest is great. It's probably one of my favorite festivals now. It was so well organized. You know what it's like to go to a festival and get your badge and then try to go see the screening and nobody there knows what to do with you or oh, I'm press. Oh, well, we don't know, we're full up it's so organized. It was just like, I want to see this movie. Boom, bing, bang, boom. I'm in. The people there were great. I met a lot of your friends.
Did you meet Mike Rabel?
Yes. In fact, I had dinner with him and
awesome.
Yeah. And it's like everybody knows you there. It's like every time
everybody knows you or everyone knows
no,
me?
No, everyone knows you. I bring up films
that's funny.
And they talk about you and how I guess you were a big part of it a while ago.
I just attended Cinequest. I thought it was very innovative. And then I had a movie play there in 2004. And then it's a film festival that kind of defies what you think a film festival should be and has its own vision. And that's what I always appreciate about it. This is my thing. And this is for everybody watching, listening. Smaller film festivals are more fun. Everybody wants to go to Sundance. Fine. Go to Sundance, go to South by Southwest. They're very big. They're so big. It sort of attracts, I think, the Hollywood crowd, which can be really annoying. What I like about a small festival, like a Cinequest or like a Dead Center or a Tucson Film Festival, I might be going to the Tucson Film Festival October 13th. You are in Tucson. So the smaller festivals, everybody. It's a smaller group of filmmakers. There might be, 30, 40, 50 filmmakers instead of hundreds of filmmakers. So it's almost like summer camp because all the different events you do, parties and whatnot, you run into the same people. So you form friendships, you continue your conversations, nerdy conversations, talking about the industry and independent film. So my strong recommendation is attend a small film festival. I just got credentials to the Nashville Film Festival, but I don't know if the dates are going to work for me. Might have to pass that off to you, Alan. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Travel's tough right now. School is starting. next week.
Oh, okay. So it's not okay. Well, there you go.
I mean, and then award season is coming around in no time.
Right,
So
right. Well, before we talk about, because it's gonna segue into this. I want to talk about this real quick before we get right to House of the Dragon, because there's not a lot happening at the movies.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know there's not a lot happening at the movies? Okay, before we do that, like I've got to look. We didn't have a lot planned for this show today, except I have like a huge list of like movies we like kind of miss and didn't get to talk about. So let me get to this. I want to share this with you. This is the release schedule of movies. A friend of mine always leaks this to me, and I share it with the team at Film Thread. These are
no one can read that. No one can read that. It's
Is it too small? If you're on a big TV, okay. These are all the major studio releases of movies in 2022 through at least what's been announced for 2024. And I see that on Christmas Day in 2024, Wicked is coming. If you've not read the book or not seen the Broadway play, it's brilliant. I am sure they'll find a way to screw it up. And Dune Part 2 is scheduled for November 17th, 2023. Can anyone? Okay, so no one can.
Yeah, no one can read that. I can't. I can barely read.
In the chat, can you read this? I'm looking at my computer. I can read it just fine, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you're watching on your cell phone, there's absolutely no way.
If you're watching or listening, you're not going to be able to see it. But what's interesting is that I kind of feel like this schedule. This is also preliminary. All of this stuff, subject change. I mean, this is already like a couple months old, but it just tells me that the industry still needs to realign and reconnect, I think, with mainstream audiences. That's what it says to me, because I'm looking and it's like, okay, maybe once a month there's a movie I'm really looking forward to, but it's probably even less than that.
Yeah. September is pretty barren there.
True. And then there's, September, like this September, you've got Smile, Bros, which I know you're looking forward to. Don't Worry, Darling, The Woman King, Brahmastra Part 1, Shiva. I think I know what that is. Salem Blot, 3,000 Years of Longing is next week. We're going to talk about it a little bit today. But yeah, no, September may be the weakest theatrical month. This is why last night I saw a screening of Jaws in 3D. And I went with my daughter. She had never seen Jaws in a movie theater, loves that movie. We saw it and the 3D is actually very good. It's not it's not overly done. It's not overly done. But we have to talk about, because this relates to House of the Dragon. Okay. It relates to House of the Dragon. I mean, okay, I remember back then in the olden days when you would be lucky to get a couple genre things a year, right? Like I remember 1982 was like a banner year. You had John Carpenter's The Thing. You had Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. You had Blade Runner. That 1982 was like the year, like, oh my gosh, like Hollywood is finally embracing genre films, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, right? Krull 1982? I don't remember, but it was around that era.
Yeah, the 80s, definitely.
In any case, so now we have two major fantasy franchises with new streaming series coming out within weeks of each other. This is unprecedented. So we have House of the Dragon, the prequel series to Game of Thrones. It's about I'm assuming, just because I watch Game of Thrones, the fall of House Targaryen. When Game of Thrones starts, House Targaryen is broken, and the sort of what's left of it, and to rise from those ashes is kind of the story of Game of Thrones. This is House Targaryen at its height. And then we have Lord of the Rings of Power, and I've seen all three trailers, and I have no idea what this show's about.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And the trailer that dropped yesterday was...
It's another teaser. It's not even a trailer.
It's even another teaser, and they used this sort of modern pop music in it, which I thought was a terrible choice. I thought it was god-awful choice. It looks like it's going to be... They're just leaning into Galadriel is she's Rey, right? She's Rey Skywalker. Okay. There's the sort of thing where her brother it's the funeral of her brother. Her brother's body's sitting there, and she grabs his sword, excuse me, his sword. He's lying there dead, and she grabs this very phallic-like sword, and she's gonna get it done.
His golden snitch, right?
The golden snitch, so to speak. But I still have no idea what the show is actually about. It introduces a whole ensemble cast, very diverse cast. I still don't know what the story is, what's the threat, what's going on, etc. So
I mean, I don't understand the marketing behind this because they're pissing off all the Tolkien fans, and then they're giving nothing for the rest of us. You know, it looks fantastical, and that's it. That's the motivation you're giving me to watch a show, is because you're just presenting some really good looking images. You know, I want to feel like there's a story there. There's some foundation, some story that I need to hear, need to see, and they're giving nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it seemed like you get caught up in a story, you get caught up in a character, and this seemed like a PowerPoint presentation for a show they wanted to make, but I don't know what the show is about.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, those books that filmmakers do to kind of give you the tone and the feel of what they want to do. That's what this is. It's just, it's just a coffee table book at the moment.
Yeah, they call that, directors do this. You should know what this is for aspiring filmmakers out there. It's called a lookbook. And a lookbook is a collection of images. They also call it, there's a video version of that. It's called a ripomatic. This is like a presentation that a filmmaker, a producer, or a director would give a studio to pitch a project. This is before they spent any money. So they collect images and put together a book that like shows you what it's about. I would say that one of the earliest times I ever heard of something like that is when George Lucas hired Ralph McQuarrie in the early 70s to do paintings. There were like 12 paintings that Ralph McQuarrie did for George Lucas to show the studio what Star Wars was supposed to look like, because it was all in his head or on paper. So a lookbook is the paper version of it. A ripomatic is where you take video and you cut together maybe a couple minute trailer that gives you the tone of something. It was the guy he was going to do Joe Carnahan was going to do Daredevil back in the day, and he cut together a ripomatic video of what he intended the tone of Daredevil to be, and they kind of stole it for the Netflix series for Daredevil. But if you can find that, look up Joe Carnahan Daredevil. He did, it's like he created what he thought the tone should have been, which ended up being the Netflix show basically. When Joe Carnahan was pitching doing another Daredevil movie to Fox back in the day. So in any case, what I've seen now of this trailer is there's a lot of pretty pictures, still no story or characters that tell you like what their journey is. And I feel like if you compare this to the original Lord of the Rings, those trailers were amazing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you have to kind of cut it a break in the sense of they're not going to get the money to do the movie type effects. But at the same time, the original, you had Elijah Wood and, recognizable people in the cast to kind of pump up the interest in it. This one, I don't know who these people are at all.
Right. You don't know. They haven't explicitly at least said what the characters are. I mean, they have in some of the promotional materials, but not in the trailers. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this. And John Manilang says, slap that like button. First of all, I agree with you, John. And then also, by the way, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel. Slap that subscribe button.
Slap!
Within a grip.
Get busy, come on.
I think I can name every movie.
Yeah,
that slap.
I've seen every single one of those slaps.
Shout out to Glenn, our producer, who's here in the wings. He made that video. did an amazing job, Glenn. You gotta plug your channel, Glenn. Glenn's building up his YouTube channel. We'll get a plug in there for him later, but definitely slap that like button. I just wish with this thing they would give you some idea of what the hell this thing is supposed to be.
I mean, considering the money they've invested in this, you would think they'd be a little bit smarter in terms of promoting this, or they know just how much crap they have on their hands and they're just trying to salvage it.
Well, let's get to some of these comments here. Yeah. Bethel Games says Rings of Power is about nothing besides destroying a male franchise. You mean another one? D. John says taking the sword was symbolic as a man tried and failed. Now it's a woman's turn to do it right. Good. So you noticed that too. I'm like, the first thing I noticed was he's dead. I'll take his sword.
At the same time, Galadriel was a major character in the original.
Well, true. B. Sparks 917 is a member. Thank you for that. Chris and Alan watched the original Fellowship trailer, then watched the new Rings of Power trailer, compared one to the other, or just as nowhere the Fellowship, and that was 20 years ago. Yeah, if you just compare those two trailers, watch the original Lord of the Rings trailer, the first movie, and then watch this. And look, yes, comparably, all right, maybe the Rings of Power has better spectacle in terms of effects. Fine. That's also doesn't matter, right? Yeah. Shucksy says, I'm kind of tuning Rings of Power advertisements out since I will never see it. I still watch videos clowning on it, though. Much more entertaining than the show will be. Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, so.
We talked about this with She-Hulk, but I mean, the hate I'm seeing for this show is truly tainting me against the show. And, my fear is I'm going to watch it and like it, but.
Well, I mean, we'll go down the rabbit hole of another She-Hulk conversation once people have caught up. Like we got to see first 4 episodes. And what I'll say is the first episode isn't what the show is.
Yeah.
It just isn't. It's not.
You were right. They should have put the first episode in the middle of the series.
Right.
And it would have explained, it would have at least put a little juice behind the speech. But
it would have better explained. The first episode is not what the show is. The first episode is her origin.
It should have just gone right into the lawyer comedy.
Yeah.
And then explain at some point, this is how she became She-Hulk, and this is why she's so different than Bruce.
Yeah. And Glenn says, Glenuccio, who's a member, says, thanks, Chris. Great to be here. My channel is Glenuccio. Glenuccio. It's with 2 C's. Exactly how I pronounced it. So there you go. Yeah, I want to be able to talk about She-Hulk when the audience that still cares about it. You might not, that's fine. Once you've seen the next couple episodes, because what you're going to observe is it's like a 90s legal comedy that is no different than like an Ally McBeal or a Mary Tyler Moore or any of that stuff. And I will say Paul Chato, if you look up his channel, my name is Chato. He definitely is. I think he gets like what the show is trying to do. And I just think that there's a knee jerk to hate it instantly. And I think they made a colossal mistake by either, they should have dropped 3 episodes on day 1.
Yeah.
Day 1, 3 episodes.
Minimum 2.
Or taken that episode and put it in the middle. And my understanding is, I've been reading some stuff. They said that the first episode is like, it's how she becomes She-Hulk, but also those were intended to be a series of flashbacks that went throughout the show, but they edited them together, which is why it feels so choppy. So apparently originally it was just going to be these flashbacks to the island of her, learning this throughout the show. And they're like, no, just put all that together and make it the first episode. Disney clearly has no idea what they're doing. And Amazon is about to learn that lesson. We have 61 starred comments. I need fewer comments because I can't keep up with all of these. Let's switch gears now. Let's switch gears real quick to House of the Dragon episode 1 review. Alan, you saw it?
Yes, I did.
Before I launch in,
okay.
I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay, so just for background, I have never seen Game of Thrones. I have never seen a full episode, but I have seen a lot of the nude stuff in Game of Thrones. So that's
Okay.
That's my experience with Game of Thrones. So I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. I couldn't even tell you the Westeros. I guess that's where they're at. I don't know.
Westeros.
Okay. So having said that, you know, it's weird, but it's like the reason I like it is because it's better than the rest of the stuff that's out there now. But I'm not wowed by it. I'm not overwhelmed by it. I'm not finding anything really great about it. But you know, I will say solid storytelling, solid action. I love the boundaries they're pushing in terms of violence, and maybe that was all. I'm pretty sure that was always there. So I'm, you know, I like what I see. I'm just not convinced that I'm going to hang on for the ride. So, I mean, I'll go a couple more episodes in, but you know, the first episode to me felt like setup. Setup was fine, but nothing really saying you need to see this series.
Well, I would disagree with that. I think that nobody would argue that Game of Thrones kind of ended in a way that was very dissatisfying. It's this buildup of years to season 8, and it just went off the rails. I think part of that is, you know, and again, I'm a noob. I've never read the books, and I'm not a fan of fantasy. It takes me a lot to go see something that's fantasy, which is why Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings original trilogy is so good, because it took a noob and someone who doesn't care about that and made me care about it. Okay. And Game of Thrones, you know, it had its heights, right? And then it just, that ending, it's this build up to this big ending that then just ends too quickly. Like, wait, you built up this whole, all of these various conflicts, and you just wrapped up too conveniently and too quickly. It wasn't the pace of the show. It was a huge mistake. This, I like this. It's a really good first episode. Surprisingly good in the sense that I never even watched a trailer for this show. I saw a still of Matt Smith and I was like, oh, that's cool. I like Matt Smith. But they did what Game of Thrones, I think tone wise, does really well, which is it sets up the chess pieces on the board to know who the players are, right? And then what their motivations are. And I think that Daemon Targaryen, you know, as Matt Smith, he knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. He knocked it out of the park. So good as that character, knowing what his motivations are, knowing what's happening to the kingdom.
I mean, do you know of that character prior to this?
No, not at all. No.
Because I will agree with you. I think his character is the most complex character, and I really like that. I like that he's somewhat unpredictable. Because a lot of the setup is somewhat predictable as well. I mean, I'm kind of seeing things coming, but I do like that character, and he does throw the show off balance in a good way.
I love it. I love what he did to the show. You can see where the chess pieces are being laid and the conflicts, and then also it's also sex. There's a bunch of sex in the show, unexpected, and it includes Matt Smith. So there you are. And in addition to that, so there's sort of raunchy sex, which is it's what HBO became known for ultimately. But also it's shocking, gruesome violence. And if you haven't seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's a scene that happens near the end, or the third act, and it's shocking. It's freaking shocking. And can I just say this?
Well, the middle scene was pretty shocking too.
True. I mean, and also like there's some really great spectacle. They've gotten very good at this. The tournament, you know, the tournament scene where they're battling and Daemon is in that conflict. Like that was great.
I don't get it. Why would you gather all your great warriors and kill half of them off?
Right. No, I love it.
If I were defending a kingdom, why would I do that?
I'm hooked. It's episode 1. It you know, didn't feel overtly woke, although I would say that you know, that George R.R. Martin he includes strong women. Strong women are a part of it. They're a part of his work, and I think we're going to see that come to fruition in this series. For sure. They've sort of set the stage for that, right? The thing that always ends up turning me off though is like whenever they talk to the actors, Whenever they talk to the actors and the actors are like, I'm changing the world by playing a part and pretending in a TV show. It's like, no, you're not really. So what can you say? But I really enjoyed it. I'm in for the ride. And I saw a really interesting, I think it was an Instagram post where they showed this apartment building. I think it was in New York, and every TV was on House of the Dragon. So I like where this is going. There are 10 episodes, I believe, and I'm excited for it. And I will continue to watch it. We'll probably do a check-in. I don't know that we'll be doing like week-to-week coverage, but definitely I think this is significant because movie theaters don't have a lot of good films coming out in the next several months. I think Black Adam is the next big
October
release.
21st, Black Adam. Unless you count Halloween. But I think that's going to be on Paramount Plus or Peacock as well.
Yeah, Halloween is going to come out day and date on Peacock and in theaters. So stupid. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Well, they did that with Firestarter as well.
Let's go to some comments, and thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Glenn's taking care of me. He's taking care of both of us. Glenuccio, remember that channel. Let's get Glenuccio. Are you monetized, Glenn? Let's make that happen. Let's make it happen. All right, George the Giant Slayer for 10. Thank you, George. George! Wow, Pornhub's Harry Potter. All hail Chris and Alan. Yes, if you weren't here at the top of the show, I found this in my Halloween decorations. It's a very innocent Harry Potter ornament. So there you go.
Hey, he's reaching for the golden snitch, and
there you go. Willie Woodward says, dude, Alan, did you have any meetups at Cinequest? I was really hoping to catch one.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I definitely went to some of the parties and stuff, but nothing official.
Toxic Waltz N8. In a few weeks, my local theater is playing Lord of the Rings extended versions on Sunday and Wednesday, not a marathon, of course, but weekly. Do it. I mean, one of the brilliant things about not just the way that those movies were made, but the way that they were released consecutively. They planned it out. I mean, God, I mean, it just, when you look back, that was like it was kind of a golden age. Like every Christmas, you knew you were going to be able to unwrap your Lord of the Rings present. So Toxic Waltz N8 for sure.
And then the brilliance, because you could buy the original set, and then they would come out with an extended set. So now you have
whatever.
Lord of the Ring DVDs.
I have the extended. Luther Talbert's a member for 5. One of my favorite hero moments is when Rel the Cyclops comes to help his friends, knowing what his fate will be in Krull. Yeah, true. I could do a whole stream on Krull. I really want a glaive. A glaive is what I'm looking for. Geef Truth 64 says Rings of Power versus House of Dragon is similar to the matchup of Orville versus Strange New Worlds. Both shows went head to head, airing at the same time. Oh, really interesting. And thank you, Geek Truth 64, for being a member. Yeah, like head to head. I mean, I'll pick the Orville over Strange New Worlds, and I think House of the Dragon, what I've seen so far looks good. I haven't seen anything, and I saw no trailers for House of the Dragon. So Rings of Power is just, I mean, it looks kind of embarrassing. Like, I feel sorry because obviously a lot of craft went into it. The special people who worked on the special effects worked very hard. And it just seems misguided. Zax says, I'm seeing 241 watching, only 89 likes. Rub that like button like it's Alan's nipples. Well, you know what that means. That means
my nipples look like milk duds.
No, sorry, that was the wrong one. It's this one. Let's get back. Let's get back to serious part of this conversation.
Aren't we all tired of that?
No one is tired of it now. Shucksy, a member. It's not about the money; it's about the message. Joker. Yeah, that's a line from Joker from The Dark Knight. When Joker is standing in front of that giant pile of money, It's not about the money. I love that. Love that. And Alan's waiting on that Amazon dollar.
I'm still waiting on it. They have not come through yet. So
Well, there we go.
I mean,
I am seeing The Rings of Power a week from today in a movie theater, the first 2 episodes. I will be doing a late night stream on Wednesday. So I don't know. Should we do an afternoon stream and a late night stream? Tell me in the chat what you would prefer. But I will be seeing it a week from today. So 2 days before, or like basically a day before it comes out.
where is that happening?
It's at Cinemark. You can get tickets. Just
Huh.
look up Cinemark.
So it's got all the
Rings of Power
Cinemark.
tickets. All Cinemarks. It's free. And
That's
I pointed out to a friend, I said, it'll be the lowest grossing film at the box office, 0.0. It's just gonna be the lowest. So there you go. Alan is film threats lofty, says Holy Hand Grenades. Yeah, that's a reference to Yellow Flash. Yellow Flash 2. If Alan likes Rings of Power, I'm unsubbing from this channel. You mean I'm gonna have to match whatever Amazon gives him. Amanda in the wiki, the head writer for the She-Hulk, admitted to not knowing how to write a courtroom comedy. Well,
why would they admit that?
I don't know. This is the thing that kind of sucks about so much of the stuff that comes out these days is how easily it's ruined by the creators, or in particular the actors, talking. Whenever they talk, they just somehow ruin it. Sean Zamir, who's a member, says, isn't there their way of swinging it, comparing it to Ally McBeal, Law and Order? I had not heard that. When I saw it, I recognized it just because I've seen those shows. It's actually more like Boston Legal, a legal comedy, but she's more like the Ally McBeal character. So there you go. A Chernobog, who's a member, thank you for that. House of Dragon put me to sleep. All right, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm giving it.
I get it.
Thrones started off more exciting, says a Chernobog. Well, yes, with the near murder of a child. There you go. George the Giant Slayer is here, a member. I enjoyed it, but was not overjoyed by House of the Dragon. It definitely did not knock me over like Game of Thrones initially did. I mean, I would say that that's true. That's fair comment. But like, considering what we're dealing with these days,
considering the spectrum of content we have, yes, it is up there. But again, I was looking for something great. I was looking for something memorable, something, basically back in the days when we had water coolers and we would talk about things. I don't feel like I have that water cooler topic coming out of it.
You know what's replaced water coolers? Slack, or sort of like work chat, Discord, or Zoom. JC says, I've heard this Game of Thrones show is made by fans, but that doesn't matter. And also, I don't think that even well-meaning followers are what we all need right now. Yeah. And then a Chernobog says, and the birth scene was absolutely unnecessary and gross. Well, it's important to the story. It's important to the story. It gives the king a choice. He chose unwisely.
He chose his legacy over his.
Can I just say this? That's sort of I guess they have not, in the Game of Thrones fantasy world, they have not invented C-sections yet. Cesarean section, C-section. Those of us who are parents, my children were born from C-sections. Can I just say, there's more blood there. There may have been more blood in the real thing. So it didn't, for some reason, it just didn't faze me because, like, oh yeah, I've seen 2 of those.
Yeah. Well, and I think I appreciated that they went there. Because I think you would never see that in any modern tale at all.
Right. Geek Truth 64 says they could have had twice the audience if they took the money from House of the Dragon and used it to redo the entire final season. Imagine the viewership. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they've even thought about it, but like that was so messed up, from George R.R. Martin not finishing the book to him just sort of telling them what happens and then them embellishing on it, and then the sort of way everything was sort of quickly resolved. It just, yeah. The Bad Bandito, Robert Lewis is a member. Thank you. I have to stop watching when Tyrion is on the boat with the spider. You could tell from the dialogue in that scene that they went off page and it's terrible. You mean, wait, Tyrion, are you talking about Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones? I don't think there's a spider in Game of Thrones, but I do like Tyrion. Peter Dinklage as that character is very good. Spidey Sensei 72, saying you never watch Game of Thrones is like saying you've never seen The Wire. How did you manage to miss this?
Yeah, I've never seen The Wire either. So,
oh, there you go.
Robert, I can go on and on about how I don't have time to watch episodic television anymore.
I wrote a song referencing this book, Electric Dreams by Fire and Time. Says the Bad Bandito. Shuxy is back with a comment. How is sex and violence shocking in a Game of Thrones type show? I thought that's just what you expected at this point. That's what I mean. It's like it fulfilled that expectation. It's like shocking violence, shocking character turns, and the sex, nudity, yeah. and I thought it was a good setup. Thought it was good. I think the standout of the show is Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen. Childbirth is your battlefield, says a Chernabog. George the Giant Slayer again for 10. I enjoyed it, but was definitely weird watching Doctor Who doing the timey-wimey bouncy bounce all hail. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of when like Matt Smith took over as Doctor Who. I kind of like pieced out. So I'm more of a David Tennant fan of Doctor Who. Although I thought Christopher Eccleston for that one season was pretty good. It was a different take. It was very, very different. It's very different. So
wasn't Chris Eccleston the first one of the
in the reboot? Yeah, Christopher Eccleston he did one season. Then David Tennant came in. There are other people that know much more about this. Yeah. I'm when it comes to, I'll let you know when I'm a casual fan of something. I was a casual fan of Doctor Who.
I was a Tom Baker guy, and that's kind of where I lived and died.
There you go.
Doctor Who, yeah.
B Sparks 917 as a member says, yes, give us what we want. I'm assuming he's talking about all-purpose nipples, says Zax. And B Sparks 917 says, no, Alan will never tire.
I was afraid of that.
And I finally saw what the new one actually was. I actually listened while I work. Impressive, Alan. So there you go. There you go. And Chris, more Joker voice, please. I don't see now. I'm doing it up. I can't do it.
You do Batman.
JK now. Nonstop. Could probably do Batman better. Where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? Forget it. Okay. Pat and Jessica.
Why'd you say that name?
Pat and Jessica's Jeep Adventures for $4.99. The reason they are fighting to the death is that there has been no wars for 100 years. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. See, Alan?
I'm just thinking from a practical standpoint. You get your greatest warriors and you kill half of them off. I
think part of what helps, with your Game of Thrones, I learned that like if you watch with the closed captioning on, it helps because you'll learn the names of the characters more quickly because they're not always spoken. And you see like there's even inconsequential characters, you'll get their names. So I always watch with closed captions. Campbell says Harvey Birdman is the best courtroom comedy. And then Shuxy, what? No C-sections in Game of Thrones? And there you go. George the Giant Slayer is also back. Now, could you imagine if they actually had released House of the Dragon first? That would be exciting. We watch it and then go into Game of Thrones. Oh, that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting because it's sort of a reversal because this is what I'm expecting us to see is this is the fall of House Targaryen. That's what this is. Once a great house, they have all these dragons. And what we see at the beginning of the original Game of Thrones is the house has fallen and this is just what's left, right? So Flaccid Phoenix says, I'm just in the chat, but I feel like Alan's nipples aren't being played enough. Wait, okay, let me know if you feel like this is way too much. Way too much. All right. Well, Flaccid Phoenix knows what's up. And we thank you for that, Flaccid. Let's so look, I'm gonna keep watching it. I was intrigued enough. I had no expectations to watch. I mean, I kind of saw that it was like people were talking about it on social media. It's like, oh, that's today. I'll check it out. Sat down and watched it and was unexpectedly, it was an unexpected surprise. And again, I think Matt Smith is the best part. Alan, any final thoughts on this before we move on?
I mean, I'll give it a few more episodes and see where we go. Like I said, I don't know anything, so I don't understand the importance of this particular house. But I like dragons, so there you go.
Yeah, well, there you go. Cool. Let's switch gears here and talk about there are more things that are coming out. More things coming out. I think we should talk about Orphan First Kill because it is out. First of all, let me switch the background here. I have it here somewhere. This helps. My understanding is this helps in the editing. We can get this going. Okay, cool. All right. Orphan First Kill is the follow-up to the film Orphan from 2009, which I had never seen. It is about a young girl who has a very specific disease that stunts your growth. So you're basically a little person, but you have proportional features. So she basically looks like maybe an 11 or 12-year-old child. Okay. So this family brings her into her home thinking it's their long lost daughter, their daughter who went missing. They think it's the daughter, and she's been in this foreign country, so she has an accent. They bring her in the home, come to find out that she's a 30-year-old adult woman scamming them. This is also based on, the original Orphan was based on a true story because apparently this actually happened, right? But it doesn't go where you think it would go. This does not go where you think it would. And by the way, this opened in theaters and it's also on Paramount Plus. So it's also on Paramount Plus if you have that. And it doesn't go where you think. First, they set her up as being this murderous killer, but then come to find out that the family that she's been adopted by, she's been brought into, they're completely messed up. The mother, the matriarch of the family, and it's the actress. She was
Julia Stiles.
Julia Stiles, yeah, she was in one of the last few seasons of Dexter. And Julia Stiles is in this. She's very good. So she plays the mother and she's onto her game. But because her husband is so distraught over the loss of the young daughter, it's like, you're just going to play this game with me. So it turns into this whole like cat and mouse thing between Julia Stiles and the actress who plays the orphan. What's her name?
Isabella Fuhrman.
Isabella Fuhrman. Okay.
Yeah. Esther. All I see is I'm looking at the credits. Esther, yeah.
I cannot look you in the eye and tell you that this is a good movie. It was terrible. But I laughed through most of it because it was just so bad. And all the scenes where you think it's supposed to have tension and, someone's about, is she going to get found out what's going to happen? They're putting on a show in front of the dad to please him, but they know like they're going to try and kill each other. The Julia Stiles and the daughter, the orphan, right? And I think they're trying to build a franchise out of this, but the first movie came out in 2009. Here it's 2022. It's just coming out now. And a lot of the effects are pretty cheesy. There's some fire effects that are clearly digital. They didn't want to burn down an entire house, so they just put like these digital fire effects. So part of it is just kind of cheesy. I mean, just like, it's just sort of laughably bad. And I had a good time with it. I can't recommend this movie. I can't tell you should go see it. I'm just saying, if you want a bad movie that you can fold your laundry while it's on in the background, Orphan First Kill is that movie. And Julia Stiles is very good. I haven't seen her in anything since that last season of Dexter. Was it the last season or two?
The last season. I thought you were talking about Yvonne Strahovski for a moment there, but she was in the last season of Dexter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always like her,
She was in the Bourne series.
Yeah. I've always liked her. So it was nice to see her in the film. That kind of elevated it for me, but it's laughably bad. It's just laughably bad. And which kind of made it
scary about this movie?
What's that?
Is there anything scary about this movie?
Yeah, I think the girl
I mean, that sounds more creepy than
the
scary.
lead girl is creepy, and she has this pair of fake teeth because her teeth underneath are like sort of gross. So she has these fake teeth that she keeps in there, like bright and cute and whatever. But it was sort of laughably bad, and I kind of had a good time watching it. I don't know if anyone else saw it. Anyone in the chat? So
I think one person saw it.
yeah.
So she has Princess Leia teeth, you're basically saying.
Basically, for sure. So let's get to some comments here for those who have comments about Orphan First Kill. Zachary Bloom says, I kind of like the first one. I would agree. Wasn't Julia Stiles also in the remake of The Omen, says CD Stein 69? I don't know. Can you check that out?
Yeah.
John Odom, 10 things I hate about Orphan. Julia Stiles, so thank you for that, John Odom.
Yeah, she was in The Omen. She was in The Omen.
MK Solid 82 said Julia Stiles was the token white girl for all the interracial relationships in movies of the 90s. Well, that's an interesting fact.
She was, actually.
Spidey Sensei 72 says, without the makeup and dark hair, that actress looks like a completely different person on her Instagram. I think there's something weird about it that she's 30 years old, but she looks like she's 12. It just seems a little weird. Infinite Main, hey, always good to see you, Infinite Main. Orphan had an interesting twist. Yes, in this, you kind of know the twist at the beginning going in, but what I found interesting about this, which is different, is that you're on her side. You're on the orphan's side, right? In this one, whereas in the original Orphan, she's the villain. In this, she starts as the villain, but becomes a victim. And Flaccid Phoenix says the movie is too white for Alan to see it. Zach says teeth. Here comes Paulie. And Spidey Sensei 72 says saw the first one, on the fence about paying $19 for the sequel. Well, here's what you could do. Like, see, I have the AMC A list, so I can see 3 movies a week. For the month, I can basically see 12 movies for, I think it's $25. So if there's movies I'm on the fence on, I'm like, I'm just gonna go see it because why not? And then I'll go see it. And so, but I happen to have Paramount Plus. I'm not gonna say I can't. Okay, I'm not gonna say I pay for all the streaming accounts I have.
Yeah. So whose account are you?
I have friends. I have other people in my life. You have to, in order to get most of the streaming services, you have to definitely like thread a needle of like, okay, so I'm sharing this one with my sister. She's giving me this. I got HBO Max from so-and-so. And these accounts now are starting to limit the number of accounts, but not, I've noticed this. I should do a whole thing on this. I've noticed they limit the number of accounts, right, to save your place, right? You create your favorites. I don't want my favorites to be the same as, my daughter has her favorites. We have separate accounts, but they don't limit the number of devices you can be logged into. Now they're starting to limit it. So, for example, Netflix, I noticed based on the tier that I get Netflix basically free through my T-Mobile. It's so weird how, like, I figured out, look, and I'll apologize in advance for saying this. If there is an offer on the back of a box of Pop-Tarts, I probably got it. If I see some sort of way I can get a deal, I'll definitely do it. And I can't tell you how many like dumb things I've gotten off the back of Pop-Tarts where you'd save the UPC code. I'm sure all this stuff is digital now. You save the UPC code from purchasing a box of Pop-Tarts. And then what you do is you mail it in to get stuff for free. I can't tell you how many times I did that as a kid, and not even just as a kid, also as an adult. So yeah, if I see something like that I like and it's on a cereal box offer, like, oh, they have Nightmare Before Christmas offer on the back of whatever, like I kind of, because here's why I do it. All right. Here's why I do it, because it's going to be rare, because not a lot of people, like, sure, you can buy stuff, right? Anybody can buy stuff, but to jump through the hoops to get some of the rare collectibles that are through like cereal box top offers or Pop-Tarts or stuff, like, I strongly recommend, if you ever see an offer like that, just get whatever it is, because it will, if it's, especially if it's something you like, because I guarantee it's going to be something that's difficult to acquire. I could go down a whole rabbit hole.
I
I'm
know.
gonna do for the.
I mean, that's how I got my first Boba Fett action figure.
See, exactly. You know, in fact, I think that's the only time you got the rocket firing was to get it through the offer.
No,
Once
I
it
did. Mine didn't fire a rocket.
Oh darn!
It was just after that kid died from those things.
That's crazy.
I know.
So
I think that's why it came out late, because they had to glue them in or something.
John Witchboy says original Orphan was interesting. So
yeah, but I feel like the whole franchise is built around then that surprise ending.
Right, but exactly. But what they do that's different in this is that she starts as the villain. You kind of know her, right? But then you feel sympathy for her because she's stuck with this family, and half the family knows it's a scam. They're trying to scam the dad into thinking that this is his long lost daughter, and it's and so then it's a rivalry between the family members trying to basically murder each other. Okay.
So the third film is she's part of To Catch a Predator.
Basically, in a way, yeah. Dead Meat had a kill count episode a week or two ago. I don't know what is that in reference to.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Dead Meat, I have no idea. Toxic Well 10-8. Cardinal Sin is here. Always good to see you. I did Gil's show, and we talked about Logan's Run. If you want to see me talk about Logan's Run, I did a lot on that show. So go to Cardinal Sin's channel. Hail Chris and Alan, one of my favorite YouTube channels for 5. Thank you so much for that. Shake from Hunger Team. Hey, wait, didn't I just talk to you on Midnight's Edge? We were just chatting for 20. Thank you. Chris, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I have read his book several times, but now I find myself liking this episode, not loving it, but I also believe the show has potential to get better. Maybe it's my fear of Game of Thrones season 8. Yeah, I think the problem is that what happens, and thank you for the 20, by the way, and thanks for joining our little chat here on our Film Threat live stream. Yeah, Game of Thrones disappointed a lot of people. I think many of the Disney Plus series have disappointed people, where they start out good and then just turn into not a show that you signed on for. In addition, what I think that there's almost a sense of betrayal when these shows end poorly, because what it is I believed in you. I invested time in you, and now you've done this thing. You've not brought it to a proper ending. So Shake from Hunger Team.
Up until Endgame, Marvel could do no wrong at that point.
Yeah. And Endgame was like, yes, it's flawed. I get it. I like Infinity War better. Fine. We could discuss it. I think of them kind of as one movie, but it's one story at least. But yeah, like now it's like, what is worth investing your time in?
Well, I mean, you would have thought they would just carry the quality of films through, and they didn't. Pixar is the same way, where they're putting out such great movies, and then Cars comes out, or Cars 2, and so you believe in something so much, and when they do something mediocre, it just lets you down at that point.
Flaccid Phoenix says, true story. Chris got his driver's license from the back of a Pop-Tart box. I can't tell you how many, and I am going to do for our members, I'm going to do like I'm going to have to do several videos because I have too much stuff. I will go through I've got like collections of stuff in my living room area and collections of stuff in here. I try to relegate it to like 2 parts of my place, but then even my patio, I call it my patio because it has Batman stuff everywhere in my patio area, but I try to keep it subtle in other areas of the house. But even like my kitchen, I'll try to do like every room has like subtle, there's nerd stuff just woven in. And so I will do for our members, I'll do like videos showing you pieces of my collection. So
I'm married. I can't even do that. It's like,
look what you got in the background.
This is the room.
What is the video game that you have going, Alan?
That's Marvel's Avengers. I'm recording other games. So
there you go.
But there's Marvel right there.
Dr. Chico for 2 says, I have a Captain Crunch statue I love. See? And look, over 300 watching. Make sure you smack that like button. Hell yeah. Where's our smack video? It's right here.
Within a grip. You're so
Jesse, come on.
Now, if you can name all of the references, all the movies, because there's like one is killing me. One is killing me. And we're going to talk
Can you
about
imagine trying to do that airplane slap scene again in movies today?
God, I would love if they did it. I would love if they did it. This is the explanation. Toxic Wealth. Dead Meat does kill counts on horror movies. They've done all the major franchises. That would be fun to look at that. Dead Meat. Johnny Fuerte. Orphan lived long enough to see herself become the villain. Yeah, true. Well, I feel like she's more of a victim in this movie, Orphan First Kill. Like I said, it's one of those movies that fits in a category called so bad it's good. It like kind of like makes the round.
Is it so good?
Well, no. I would not go out of my way to see it. If you already have Paramount Plus, go see it. If you already are an AMC member, an AMC like A-list member, just and if you're looking for like a killing some time, going to see a dumb movie and getting some popcorn, go ahead and do that. Eric Jimenez, hey, always good to hear from you. Hey, Chris and Alan, do you think they re-released Jaws to test if there is interest in the franchise? They did it with Jurassic Park a decade back before making Jurassic World. There could be, but how do you?
I think it's an anniversary screening for one thing.
It's an anniversary screening. There's an anniversary for movies every year. Okay, so every year a movie there's an anniversary. But Jaws, I'm curious as to why they're doing it. I do know that Real D did the 3D. And what I like about the 3D is it's not annoying. And they did that thing where they brighten it so it doesn't completely all I can say is this: the 3D really worked for me. And I don't like 3D. So it worked here. And I think one of the only films where 3D I thought was very good was the first Avatar. Now I'm saying the first Avatar movie, because that's what we're going to have to say.
And they're re-releasing it, so I will be seeing. It's a 4K restoration of Avatar. Weird to say it that way, but
weird.
But it's coming to theaters.
Could they be making a new Jaws franchise? I don't know. The thing is this: they've run out of stuff. They have run out of stuff, and at some point, unfortunately, they may end up remaking Back to the Future, which would suck. John,
but there is a Ouija Shark 2 coming out.
So. Ouija Shark 2 is coming out. John Witchboy, Game of Thrones ending makes the Sopranos ending look brilliant. I remember when everybody was pissed about that Sopranos ending, that it just goes to black. The more I thought about it, I thought, well, that's kind of clever, but it didn't it's like that's, I mean, the whole thing is that Tony gets whacked, right?
Or does he?
It's his point of view. The show is his point of view. He's the lead character. This is what would happen. We just cut to black for an uncomfortably long time. I love that people thought something was wrong with their cable then. When that happened, it's just like, what's wrong with my cable? And Shake from Hunger Team became a YouTube member. Thank you for that. And also Robin Men in Thought. It was a great
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Robin Hood Men in thought it was a great, yeah. I think we're going to have to, yeah. So I will say this. I will usually when I'm commenting in a chat on YouTube, I'm usually on my phone doing it.
Yeah.
So I will, I'll mistype stuff too. CD Stein 69 says, I get The Office and Basement for my collection of nerdy stuff. I think it's good to kind of relegate it to a room if it takes over your place, but I will say my place is, at least parts of my place are kind of taken over. Glenuccio says, Chris, I'm dying to know which movie stumped you. It's the monkey. The shot with the monkey. Who's the monkey? We'll find out later. There you go.
Is that Bonzo? Or?
Toxic Waltz N8 says, I'm excited to rewatch Avatar and Titanic when they re-release. Plus, Dawn of the Dead 1978 is coming to theaters in October in 3D. That's weird. Yeah, and Geek True 64 says, every time I hear Chris mention Hollywood remaking Back to the Future, I die a little inside. I don't think it's ever going to happen. As long as Bob Gale and Zemeckis are alive, there's no way that's going to get remade. Ever. But if they do it, it's like, and I remember people had problems with the movie back in the day when it came out. Like,
I think the third episode, it was just so different from the first two that's what I remember people talking
about. The third movie?
Yeah, the third Back to the Future, the Western.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Let's hope that never happens.
Okay, so Avatar is coming out to theaters September 23rd in stunning 4K high dynamic range.
Wow. What does that even mean?
I have no idea, but I will be there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so
yeah, cool. All right, let's do a reset here. Got some good comments. They did a re-release of Conan the Barbarian. You're talking about the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Basil Polidoris score. Great score. Anarch Kitty 83, good to see you. She says, I got an invisible Predator action figure by doing something like that when I was a kid. Yeah, like it was a way to get like the super rare figures or cards or what. Like I always pay attention to cereal box offers because it's always going to end up being an incredibly rare collectible that you'll end up giving to Goodwill 20 years later. I'm not saying I've done that, but I may have done that. Toxic Waltz N8 says they travel back to 1995 if they did it today. Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to do a movie that don't redo Back to the Future. Tell a different story of taking someone from our clown show of a world that we live in now and going back to the 90s. The 90s was great. Not going to say it was perfect era, but wow, it was a lot. I mean, just video game systems, the console wars was more of a thing. And just, I don't know. I thought having lived through the 90s, I freaking loved it. Definitely one of the best eras. The Bad Bandito says Sunshine is the best movie ever made. Changed my mind. I love Sunshine. Science fiction film with he was, why am I spacing on his name? He played Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. I really love Sunshine. Really great science fiction film. It's not a franchise. Chris Evans is in it as well. Yeah, check out that movie. If you have not seen Sunshine, that's a great recommendation, Robert Lewis. I thought Sunshine was fantastic. It's there you go. Shucksy has a comment here. They can't make women straight up villains these days. They're always either a tragic victim or was a guy making her do bad stuff. Boring. It's also BS. Yeah, true. They don't really have like, if they try to have like a woman who's a villain, you have to understand her motivations because she has a reason for being a villain.
Well, look at like Maleficent or Cruella, iconic villains of the past, and now we've got to bring them sympathy, and we got to make them misunderstood people or good people ultimately.
Zach says I tried to order an Allen off a milk carton. So there you go.
I think I was on the milk carton for a different reason.
And then let's see. We got to get the comments here. In 2015, they put Back to the Future back in theaters as a double feature with 1 and 2. They didn't show 3. Well, 3 is like a remake. It's basically a remake. Like, let's just retell the whole thing. But you kind of need to see 3. I mean, actually, 1 and 2 were, I remember when it was, does anyone remember how it was released? When Back to the Future 2 and 3 came out? It was Back to the Future 2 ended on a cliffhanger. It came out in the summer. Then Back to the Future 3 came out that Christmas.
Yeah, I believe they even had clips of 3 in at the end of 2.
Yeah. Cardinal Sin asks, did you enjoy the movie Life with Idris Elba and Ryan Reynolds? I've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen either.
Sorry about that, Gil. Geek True 64, there was a movie with Brendan Fraser called Blast from the Past. Take that approach and put someone who grew up in the 80s, 90s mentality thrown into today's world. Kind of like a Rip Van Winkle situation. That could be good. Toxic Waltz, and he says, I literally today just missed an opportunity to see Back to the Future in theaters. Still kicking myself. I recently saw Back to the Future about a month ago. I saw at the Hollywood Bowl. If you go to the Film Threat Twitter feed, just go to Film Threat on Twitter. If you go through our feed, you can win tickets to see John Williams. It's called Maestro. It's called Maestro of the Movies. Tickets to see John Williams at the Hollywood Bowl.
Is he going to be there?
John Williams will be there. He's 90 years old. They have done the Maestro. What's it called? The Maestro of the Movies. It's at, you know what I'll do? Let me see if I can, will this work? No, that didn't work. Let me change this for a second. So I want everybody to know about this. Hang on.
Oops.
I'm going to share screen here real quick for you to see this, which is John Williams. Every year he does this thing at the Hollywood Bowl called Maestro of the Movies. The LA Philharmonic will perform classic scores like Harry Potter, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, E.T. I mean, think of how many iconic scores John Williams has done. In any case, I try to see that every year. And if you go to the Film Threat Twitter feed, I think it just tells you, I don't know, I think you just need to tag someone that you want to win. It's down in the feed, maybe from like a week ago. So there you go. All right, Laura, I agree with you. The 80s might have been better. Yeah, even better. Patrick Lemire, show a current person Animal House. Yeah, there's some things in Animal House that are pretty, that are, I can't believe, like, how did that, 90s was an awesome decade, says Shucksy. Send some wokester back to 95, says Infinite Main. Pure comedy gold there. Yeah, it would be great. Like, but the thing is, here's the problem, and this is why, I don't think that woke stuff really translates, is like, it's not, at least people who I think are overtly woke just don't have a sense of humor.
They don't
have a sense of humor, but I think that woke stuff is so ripe for comedy that, I don't know, like, what can you say? And here we go. It's so weird why they didn't re-release Spider-Man 2002 before No Way Home for its 20th anniversary. I think that would have basically telegraphed that Toby was in the movie.
Yeah.
I think
they could have done it afterwards.
Now, having said that, they could have re-released it. That first Spider-Man movie, even though I don't think the effects entirely hold up, I think that first Spider-Man movie is just great from the performances.
But even with that first Spider, you'd never seen that before in a movie, those effects. And so, like very few films, they were the first to do kind of that CG person animation. So yeah, it is dated, but they did it, and we were pretty amazed when it first came out.
Thank you for your comments, Sahil. And then Patrick Lemire says the good people are really evil and the evil are really heroes is such a lazy and crap trope. Yeah, and CD Sign 69. The way things are going, if they remake, I'd be a trans POC going back and then finding out what messed up. They became a straight Christian conservative and they have to go back again to fix it all. That seems... Yeah, like Shucksy says, woke equals modern day Puritans. It's sort of like why I didn't like the religious right in the 90s is they were constantly looking at censoring things, censoring music, being very anti-gay. And I think
they were canceling people in the 80s and 90s. I mean, I can tell you, me growing up as an evangelical, what we were doing as fundamentalists, it's basically we're getting our revenge, basically, or they are. I'm not saying it right, but I'm saying the tactics we used in the 80s we're doing now and calling it wokeism.
Well, it's what I'm saying is for the same reasons I'm not in favor of any of this sort of woke canceling things, like just the sort of, the sort of lecturing. It's the same. So for those very same reasons I didn't like what the religious right was doing in the 90s is the same reason I don't like woke, which is modern day Puritans, according to Shucksy. And I would have to agree. And Spidey Sensei says the pendulum will eventually swing in the other direction and the woke tribe will get decimated. I think definitely
the woke Jim and Tammys will come out. The woke Jerry Falwells will start, they will fall just as the right did.
I think the pendulum is definitely like, it's sort of stopping and kind of slowly coming back this way. But I will say that, like, it's nuts. Like, I don't think as much as like the religious right in the 90s was like trying to shut down music and this and whatever. It's just like, I feel like what's happening now with woke stuff is worse. It's like push the limits, kind of testing like, well, how far can we take it? And then it's always like 10 steps too far. It's
Mhm.
like the slippery slope is sloped. Infinite Main, exactly. Censorship causes blindness.
Yeah.
Thank you for that comment.
I was just watching an interview with John Cleese, and wokeness is stifling creativity. That was kind of the
Well,
point he was talking
wait
about.
until you see, and this is why I've been very busy lately trying to finish Attack of the Doc. We're going to be screening at a film festival in Tucson, the Tucson Film Festival. It's the weekend of October 13th through the 15th. We're going to be screening there. There'll be lots of other screenings. And one of the threads in Attack of the Doc, which is a documentary that I'm making about G4 TV and Attack of the Show, is how many things you can't do now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even a song, not to like a spoiler, there's a song in the movie called "You Can't Do That No More." That is I can't wait for people to see it. But yeah, Patrick Lemire says people say you can't make that anymore, yet these shows are still popular. The audience hasn't changed as much as studio execs are pussies. I would completely agree. It's like, look at Top Gun Maverick, right? Look at that. That's the number one movie. I think that's got to change thinking. It's like the studio execs are like, look, just make the things people want to see.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they think wokeness is making them money.
Yeah, well, only because they kind of hide it. It's sort of underneath the surface.
But the audience just isn't there for it.
It's not.
People who want to spend money on movies don't want this stuff.
218 says, just go back and watch Carlin's bit, George Carlin, legendary comedian, bit from the 1990s on the softening of language. Still applies today just as much. That's why I don't trust anyone that's too nice. I've never trusted it. Like, if you're sort of like, fuck you, Gore, whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, awesome. I just want to be honest. But what I never have trusted, which is why I'm always suspicious of publicists, of people that are too nice, because I know they want something.
Mm-hmm.
They want something. They want to manipulate me. I'll even stop a publicist. I'm like, look, we don't need to be friends. What do you want? It's like, well, I want, this director to be on Film Threat. I'm like, okay, why don't you just ask me that? You don't have to pretend we're friends. I get it. You have a job, whatever. In fact, on that note, we don't have an interview guest today. We have two interview guests coming on Friday. Pretty amazing. We have, let me check my document here.
I know. I saw one for Friday. I didn't see two.
No, there's two.
There it is.
We have the director Owen Klein and actor Daniel Zolgadri. Anyways, it's the team from Funny Pages. We've been talking about that movie. I really loved it. Alan was not as excited about it. Then we also have the director Jess M. Thompson. She is joining the show. Her movie, The Invitation, opens in theaters Friday. It's a vampire movie. So we're going to be talking about Funny Pages and The Invitation on the show on Friday. And both directors are coming on the show, and you can talk to them. So please join us. 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday is going to be a big show. We're not just going to be talking about a bunch of movies opening in theaters, 2 big director interviews. Now here's what I have heard. Here's what I've heard. Filmmakers like the Film Threat live streams. This is what people are telling me. That they like the live streams that we're doing. So the director is asking to do the show.
By the way, Friday then, should I be watching The Invitation or should I be watching 3,000 Years of Longing?
Well, I've seen 3,000 Years of Longing, and someone I think in the chat mentioned, and I think maybe I should wait to talk about it then.
Yeah.
But
should I see it or should I try to see The Invitation?
Can't you see both?
No, because I'm going to a screening of Xanadu on Thursday.
Can't you watch Xanadu another time?
It's in the theater. I'll be at the Frida Cinema watching Xanadu.
I love the Frida. The Frida. Really old movies.
I'm taking my kid because she wants to watch it. So
yeah, but back to 218's comment, like, this is why I just have a mistrust, and especially when you see the way that politics plays out today, you see that so many things that I think are horrible things are pushed under the guise of being kind and nice. And if you don't agree with this, you're evil. Like that type of gaslighting and manipulation, call it out. I recognize that immediately, but like, there have been times like in the past where I'm just like, oh yeah, of course, like I'm in favor of that nice thing you just told me. It's always like the way that they'll like name these bills, like, the CARES Act. What you're against the Hugging Puppies Act? Why are you against hugging puppies? You're evil. Watch out for people like that. I think that they've been exposed. I think people are recognizing that, and that's why I just like look at this stuff. Like, all right, well, just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Really old movies. Good to see you here. A wise man once said, "Everything woke turns to crap." That wise person.
An old saying.
That wise person had a very good spray tan. So there you go. Patrick Lemire says the PC people were made fun of. Now SNL is trying to placate them, though that is fading a bit.
I've heard that. Watch those early seasons of SNL and just how much they were so counterculture, and
it was great. It was countercultural. It was brutal. It skewered politicians. There were no sacred cows, and now SNL is completely aligned politically on one side and is basically a mouthpiece for whatever BS agendas being pushed by the mainstream media. So there you go. There, I just explained it.
I remember when, like, recently Bill Russell just passed away, and people forget that he hosted Saturday Night Live back in the 70s. And they had this sketch called The Black Shadow, where a group of white teen basketball players saved their black coach. And I'm like, there's just no way you could tell that. You could do that again.
I feel like if there's a comedy that's non-woke, that's like super just goes for it, it will be hugely successful.
I think so.
Huge. And I'll say this, Funny Pages, we'll talk about it more. I know we did an early react after we both saw the screening. We'll do a review on Friday. Funny Pages, not woke at all, in the least zero. And but what Patrick Lemire's comment, I am told SNL, they're looking at like, because they got rid of a couple people, are not coming back. They didn't re-sign them. It's not like you get fired in entertainment. They just don't rehire you because it's freelance. So they didn't rehire certain people. I'm told that when SNL gets to its 50th year, which is like 3 years from now, that they're going to cancel the show after 50 years.
It's probably a good decision.
And Jamie, did America give up when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? One of my favorite lines from Animal House. Hail Top Gun Maverick, says Sahil. Shelby AC says the new guy who canceled Batgirl sounds like the new wave of centrism is coming back. I guess he's the one who also got rid of Brian Stelter. Yes.
Oh, poor Brian Stelter.
Yeah, we're talking about Zaslav at Warner Brothers. There's some thing in the air that I think sort of gave him a reason to make that move, to get rid of Batgirl, and basically to say, hey, we need to make things that make money. Can we just get back to that? And yeah, I think definitely Shelby AC, you are correct about that. Patrick,
I think the talk was that he felt like he needed to protect the brand. And
yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see it. Patrick Lemire says, not about the money. Rings of Power is a rounding error for Amazon.
So much money.
CD Sign 69 for $9.99 says Tipper Gore is thank you for that. Tipper Gore is one reason we don't have Saturday morning cartoons now. The censorship in the 80s wasn't even close to what they are doing now. Woke agenda is leaning closer to Salem witch trials. Absolutely, I would agree. Like the 90s was like, oh, that, and I didn't know about this, why we don't have Saturday morning cartoons. I know when they started to rate music, they put the rating on the CD labels. That was
which was Tipper Gore's deal too.
That was her deal. I don't know about the Saturday morning cartoons thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I mean, she did I mean, weirdly, she's not a conservative, but she was up on that whole censorship deal.
But yeah, it's all the wokeness stuff, and it's not. Here's the thing, I don't blame the woke. Let me just explain this for a second. I don't blame the woke because I think those people are bad shit. Okay. There were people like that back when I was in college in the 80s. People like that existed. They were like that. They were just super militant activists. They've been around for a long time, but we didn't listen to those people because the stuff they said was stupid. Here's the problem is weak-willed, weak people in leadership that listen to crazy people. And this is where we are now. So I don't blame them per se. they're allowed to have those views. What you're not allowed to do is to stop a movie that I want to see, or to prevent me from listening to a type of music that I'd like to listen to, or to listen to a podcast that has an idea that some might consider dangerous, because you know what? Propaganda only works if you listen to it, right? It only works if you listen to it. If you don't listen to it, you're like, oh, that's interesting that the TV is saying this. But you don't have to believe it. You can look at all other, that's what I don't like. That's what I object to, is the mass censorship of cartoons. There was a cartoon recently that was censored on social media that got some artist a Twitter account taken away. I always just, like, if you're censoring it, it's for a reason. And so why are you doing that? So I always look at what are the motivations of the people who are doing the censoring. And that's, look, I know we're a Film Thread is a movie live stream, but on occasion when it comes up, I'll go down this rabbit hole provoked by you. Yeah. And I appreciate it. But,
I mean, censorship it's in our wheelhouse. So we have to talk about it.
Look, people's lives can be destroyed because of this. You know, people have come after me. I think I've told a couple stories. Maybe I'll tell some more stories someday. But I'm telling you, this is worse than I've ever seen it. And I think that basically the gasoline on the fire, because the fire's always been there. Like I say, I knew people who were, you know, super. We didn't call it woke. What did we call it back then? I forget. But that mindset has been around, which mainly comes from academia. All of this really sort of is rooted in sort of academia nonsense. People have never had to go work for a living in a real sense, in terms of having to make something people like and then sell it and then build an audience, right? You're just those, especially when people get tenure in those positions, you can never get rid of them. CD Stein 69 says she was responsible because she pushed a bill that networks had to have a certain amount of educational programming to continue to get federal funding in the same bill as the music labeling. Oh, interesting. Thank you for that, CD Stein 69.
I mean, that part, the part that gets me is federal funding. You know, why are these companies needing the federal funding, and now they have to bend the knee to the government in order to receive it?
And Akanika, as a member, says, what do you guys think of the 3,000 Years of Longing trailer? I think the trailer's spectacular. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. We'll talk about the film. We'll talk about the film on Friday. I think the trailer's great. But here's the thing. Most trailers are very good because marketing departments know how to sell movies. Thank you for your comment, Akanika, and thank you for being a member. Lubitsch touched me. Also, remember, 30s were the best decades for movies. Yeah, think about it. Gone with the Wind was 39. Same thing with Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah, 39? But there was active censorship going on during that time, wasn't there?
Yeah. Shelby AC says, my dad was conducted by John Williams once at Tanglewood in Western Mass back in the 70s. Wow, that's great. And Shuxy has a comment here. That's awesome, Shelby. Shuxy has a comment. Alan just got me thinking, have you seen Maleficent, Cruella, Wicked? Where is the story that shows Jafar as a tragic villain or Gaston being a hero? Not happening because they are men. Well, that's 100%. They'll never show, like, unless, like, I mean, they did with Anakin Skywalker is kind of the tragic story of Anakin, but he's still an asshole in that. I mean, he murders children. That's a hard thing to get redemption from. But always with female evil characters is like, but wait, they had a reason to be cruel and what? But yeah, you're right. No, it's there's definitely exists.
Yeah, people just can't be evil. You know, we still have to apply identity politics to evil. So. And
then SB says, ever see that Rogan interview with Robert Downey Jr.? Yes, I did see that. They talked about Tropic Thunder. Downey said, oh, you could make that movie again today. But yeah, I mean, look, I just think that, like, I think the movie that decides it doesn't give a fuck is the movie that will be huge at the box office. And Top Gun Maverick did not care. It's like that movie looks like it was made in a vacuum of a different era. And I will say that I do think the people that are most loudly woke are a minority. And the majority of people are, fear speaking out because there are repercussions for that.
The problem is that if you wrote that movie, that movie that took on the woke movement, you could never get a major studio to back it.
But you could get it made independently. I mean, there's that movie.
Yeah. David Zucker tried it, actually.
Right. I mean, that movie, Donnie's Bar Mitzvah, which is not woke at all.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, there's stuff that's offensive in there, potentially even to Asians.
Oh, yeah.
Am I right, Alan?
Oh, yeah. It was great.
The fact that you thought it was funny is just like, I know you have a great sense of humor, which is, you kind of have to be at Film Threat, but yeah, no, you're the one that recommended that movie to me, and then I saw it. I'm like, and then my first thought, Donnie's Bar Mitzvah, recommending this to everyone watching. It is an incredibly raunchy, comedy about a bar mitzvah that takes things way too far. It won Indie Movie of the Year at our recent Award This show, which is on this channel. Look up Award This. And you'll watch that show. In an hour and a half, you'll get a ton of recommendations for movies. It's a lot of fun. But Donnie's Bar Mitzvah won for Indie Movie of the Year. It is the most raunchy, non-woke comedy you've probably seen in years. Can't believe it. Can't believe it was even made. And Alan's the one that recommended it to me. You got to see it. Shrimboy says Gore is the new Siskel and Ebert. Well, I would say maybe Film Threat. I don't know. Are we the Siskel and Ebert, Alan?
Well, it says you for some reason. Somehow I'm not in there.
I got it. I can't be two people. I think you mean both of us. Well, I'll take that. I watched Siskel and Ebert growing up. Love that. Shake from Hunger Team is back with 2 and a member. I hate you, Chris. Well, feel free. That's fine. And Shake goes on to say they don't let you say hate in Super Chat. Oh, really?
Oh,
they don't. Oh, you can't.
Censorship.
Oh, wow. I wonder if there are other words. Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Hate. Solomon Thornton says wokeness is all about losers not getting what they want. They find ways to put the message in popular shows, movies, because they know that if they create their stuff, it will suck. Well, the thing is this, I would defy someone to make something woke that's original. All the stuff that's woke is sort of taking wokeness and adding it into an intellectual property that was previously popular. And I think that's why people in entertainment in particular are pushing back against it. There's, I know that there are friends of mine that watch this show that are in the industry, and I'd like to ask a favor. Okay, we're gonna wrap up the stream in 20 minutes because I got to go to a movie tonight. But I do want to ask a favor, and I heard this from a friend of mine, okay, who works in the industry, who has not seen this, but apparently there is a thing that is making the rounds to high level executives in Hollywood called the Reflection Report. And the reason the Reflection Report is being, by the way, I haven't seen it. Neither has my friend. He told me he's heard about it, and it's like people are discussing this thing. So the Reflection Report is basically saying, because these studios are lying when they say they're making so much money. They have lost so much money these last few years, not just because of the pandemic, but they have lost significant sums of money, more than is being disclosed. The industry is in trouble. We're talking about film and television, in more trouble than they've let on. And this Reflection Report is basically, and this is in response to movies and TV that are not performing well, and the movies that are performing well. Top Gun Maverick is basically this thing saying, hey, if you just make a basic movie that is a blockbuster that appeals to most people, it will be popular. And so the Reflection Report basically is stating that we need to get back to basics if we want to be profitable and stop turning off mainstream audiences. And the Reflection Report says, again, I have not seen it. This is what my friend told me, is that what should be reflected in the media is a more accurate representation of different groups. And then additionally, it advises just stopping any sort of gender swaps, race swaps, or sexuality swaps in IP because fans don't like it. It's literally just stating the obvious. When my friend was telling me
It should be called the Common Sense Report.
So my friend told me about this and I haven't seen. I'm desperately trying to get a copy. Friends who watch this show who are in the industry, find out like if you know anyone who has seen this reflection report. That's what they're calling it. So it basically stating that the products we make, film and TV we make, needs to reflect the audience, and we need to stop messing with IP in a way that upsets long-standing fans of certain franchises. Right? Stop doing that. It's not a good. It's not making us more money to do it. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's actually hurting franchises and it's hurting the industry. So if any of the people who are watching this, or if anyone has, because my friend who's in the industry is telling me all this, and I'm like, yeah, that's just obvious. So someone had to create a report to actually, through data, like show that this exists. So look it up. And thank you for your comment. Flaccid Phoenix is back. Wise person, spray tan, huge hands. Are we talking about Alan? Shelby says, I love when Daryl Hannah made fun of Bill Clinton on SNL in the 90s. Well, that's when we used to have a sense of humor about ourselves. Yeah. But language is violence now, folks. This is how.
Silence is violence, isn't it? Saying.
Oh my God! All those phrases are meant to tell people to shut. It's basically meant to end an argument rather than having a discussion. Yeah. I like to have a discussion, warts and all. Let's have a discussion. Look, I got shit for liking the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk. Having seen it in context, I like it, but I'll have that discussion. I think on Midnight's Edge in the morning, and we'll talk more. I don't think it's fair to have this conversation without more people having seen it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't think it's fair. So there you go. Toxic Waltz N8 says, "What was the last big theatrical comedy? Hangover? Yeah, I would say that probably in terms of mainstream." Hangover, yes, but Donnie's Bar Mitzvah is an indie movie. Funny Pages, which we'll talk about Friday. We'll talk to the director and the lead actor. That is an indie comedy. I mean, comedy is there. It's just not on a mainstream level. There's that movie Bros that's coming out. I don't know that I'm the target demographic for that movie. When Alan goes to see the film, he'll give his review.
Oh boy.
Oh, Alan, you gotta go see it, Alan.
I know. We should make some incentive to make me see that movie. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Anyone knows what I'm talking about, Bros?
Yeah.
Breaking news. Brian.
Maybe I get Norm to see it, or I know Norm won't see it. I'm almost certain Norm.
Oh, really, Norm?
I don't know. Every time I pushed a gay comedy on him, he's like, "Nah, I don't want to see
it." This is a writer who writes for Film Threat. His name is Norman Gidney. Happens to be gay. Loves horror films. Loves horror. He created his own website, Horror Buzz. Go to horrorbuzz.com. Strongly recommend that site. But Norm also writes for Film Threat, and Norm, love Norm. But yeah, he's definitely not the stereotype of someone.
But I do pass along a lot of the LGBT films, but for some reason comedies are just not his thing.
I think the best one I saw was Roadhead. Roadhead is a gay horror film that is
but that's an indie. There's no way a big studio.
You're right, but it feels like a John Waters movie, and I love John Waters. Breaking news: Brian Stelter is being hired by Film Threat to take over the nipple punishment from Alan.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. Flaccid Phoenix.
I'm worried.
How dare you?
I hear he's cheap. So
John Orchard for 5 says, if you wake up every day trying to find something to cancel, the problem is in the mirror. Absolutely. If you have that kind of anger where, look, okay, I don't like country music. I just don't like it. Never would it occur to me to go, country music is being played at a bar down the street. We have to go there and make them stop doing it. If that's what you like, fine. I always say, as long as it doesn't involve children and animals, as long as it's consenting, fine. And nobody's fine. So I think you know where I stand on a lot of things. But yeah, the problem's in the mirror. I agree. I think that's you have a problem with yourself. And I think that's the only thing ultimately in the world, the thing you can most affect is yourself. And I think that you reflect that, that reflects back and whatever. So if you have a positive attitude, good things come your way. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who has an incredibly negative attitude. Incredibly negative. No, this person is not Ryan, and it's not Ryan Cadell doesn't have a negative attitude, but he's just unlucky that he gets bad service at like restaurants and fast food. But I have a friend, and she would always get bad service, always, like, orders done wrong or this or that she didn't, and like it's sort of a negative. I have like this sort of positive view to the point where like I'm I'll get free drinks if I'm on a flight just because I am nice. Look, having worked in the service industry, and this was years ago when I was single, I went on a date with a girl who treated someone. This is a red flag. For those of you single and dating, number one red flag, how someone treats people in service industry. I've worked in the service industry, wash dishes at restaurants. I made burgers at Burger King. True. Right after high school, I worked the late shift at Burger King to make extra money. How someone treats people in the service industry tells you a lot about that person. Are they polite? Are they kind? Are they understanding even when something's wrong? Things happen. You didn't get a fork. You can't control not getting a fork. You can control how you react to that. And how you react to it is, hey, can I get a fork? Thanks. Appreciate it. I always get great service. Not only do I get great service, I get free drinks a lot of times. I'm conversational. I love to talk to people. I think I just love people in general. And so my positive attitude ends up kind of bringing positivity back. But this other friend of mine, incredibly negative, would get bad service, complain in a mean way. And you're not going to get better service if you treat someone poorly who's not even responsible. And even if they are, I've been in those positions before. I've been in service jobs. It ain't all perfect. Mistakes can be made. And I don't intend, in a service job, I don't think anyone is intending to give someone bad service. And you don't know what's going on in someone else's head, right? So I think that part of your attitude actually impacts quite a bit. So the problem is in the mirror is very true. Very true. I'll tell you.
Or you got good service because you're white.
Give me a break, Alan. I got good service because I'm white. Oh my God. WAC says bring back 1984 G.I. Joe cartoons. Thank you for that. Loom TV for €9.99. House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings is now both shot digitally, but House of the Dragon is a beautiful film emulation that fits period or fantasy content very well. The new Lord of the Rings show looks too clean and digital, in my opinion. Agreed. Based on what we've seen, House of the Dragon looks like a movie, and the Rings of Power looks like I say, looks like some 4K. You know what it looks like when you go to like a Best Buy or a Costco and you see the TV department and some monster has everything set to soap opera effect. So you're watching Return of the Jedi on a 75-inch TV at Costco, and some horrible person has this. It looks like a soap opera. So you're right, and Rings of Power kind of looks like that. Amanda Nowicki says the 1% is controlling the 99%, and I'm not talking politics. That's true. I really feel that all this nonsense with the WF, what do we owe to them? We didn't elect them. Why are they controlling so many things? I wonder why. I'm pretty sure it's because people that participate with that organization are compromised in some way. And that's all I'll say before I go down some rabbit hole that I'm really not qualified to discuss. Famous First Film says 3,000 years of boring. We'll discuss it on Friday. I'm holding it for Friday. Deanno for £5 says, did you see the directors of Batgirl tried to get the footage, but it had been completely wiped? No, I didn't hear that. That's new information. John Orchard for 5. Thank you for that. The other problem with woke is that with social media, you can hide behind your screen and not support your argument. Yeah. Or that most of the arguments are just things that end discussion, like silence is violence, or things that there's so many different things that or so many bumper sticker phrases that are supposed to end the argument. It's like, no, we can continue to have the discussion. Go a layer deeper, go a layer deeper, go a layer deeper, go a layer deeper.
Because we can't have a discussion anymore. We're now limited to 250 characters. And I always had that challenge. What is that post, that meme, that tweet that changed your position 180 degrees? It's social media is not doing the conversation any favors.
Right. And Patrick Lemire says now they are talking about deep faking old dialogue. That means seamlessly editing offensive words of old movies and TV. Really? Wow. So taking old movies and changing, I am vehemently against it.
Yeah.
Vehemently against. That's like when they made walkie-talkies out of in E.T. Now, by the way, the version of E.T. the Extraterrestrial that's in the theater is the original theatrical cut.
With the guns. The agents are holding guns. They're not holding digital walkie-talkies. I'm sure that Steven Spielberg backed up on that. I have not heard about that, Patrick Lemire. Let me know more if you know more. It's this idea of cleaning up the past, that was I'm a history buff. I understand history is so important to where we are today. And if you start changing history, you start walking down a very dangerous road. Censorship is one thing, but I feel like, I'll just say I feel like they're getting rid of Walt Disney for some reason. And because they didn't like his politics, they didn't like who he was. And, we continue to go down these dark roads.
Yeah. Fear the Turtle for 5 says, South Park is probably my favorite of all time show behind Seinfeld. Any thoughts on how it's managed to remain so popular in the woke era? I think it's because they got a pass.
Yeah.
They got a pass.
Down.
That is the whole reason South Park exists, is to push buttons and to talk about issues that may be uncomfortable. And they've done it in such a brilliant comedic way. For some reason, it gets a pass. I don't think you can cancel South Park. You just can't.
Well, I think they also know where the line is, and they know how to cross it without looking like they crossed it.
And Shucksy says, good service because he's white. Alan should meet Ryan Cannell. Yeah. Now he gets bad service all the time, or always gets his order wrong. When I went to the FNT meetup in Vegas, we all went out to eat at IHOP after, and I was dying. I had my camera ready. If Ryan got terrible service, I was ready for that. So yeah. And then John Orchard for 2 says, treat people how you want to be treated. I mean, yeah, that's do unto others. Yeah, do unto others. It's very simple. But yeah, this is what it's seeing the way that people treat each other online. This is why I spend less and less time on social media, in particular Twitter, because I see the way people treat each other and I'm just shocked. It's disgusting. So yeah, that's why Shucksy says get physical media. So motion smoothing being the default on TVs blows my mind, says Lubitsch touched me. Yeah, that's the default. Did you see the video that Tom Cruise made about that? Look up Tom Cruise motion smoothing. He did a video against this because it just makes stuff look so bad. Yeah. And then Deanna for 5 pounds says, Muhammad Ali, I don't trust anyone who's nice to me but rude to the waiter because they would treat me the same way if I were in that position. Mm-hmm. Oh, did he really say that? Did he really say that?
I wouldn't doubt he said that.
I went on one date with a girl who was rude to the woman behind the bar. She was the bartender, and I don't know, we weren't getting our drinks fast enough. She was just incredibly mean, and I'm like, oh well, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, over.
So, yeah, never be mean to someone who makes or serves your food, says Laura Buckles. I would agree. I just think that's sort of a default setting, but it's a good way to identify someone that's like, oh, I can't be friends with this person, But I feel like it's also like people do bring an energy, like a positive energy, a negative energy, you can feel energy in the room. That's why going to a movie theater to see a film is such a great experience. there's an energy from the crowd. So an Infinite Main says we need a new blazing saddles for this generation. Could not agree more. I'm just a dude playing another dude. Love Tropic Thunder. So wrong, says Steedy Stein 69. Fear the Turtle 21 became a YouTube member. All right. Well, now you're privy to all these Alan videos that I haven't seen yet. Patrick Lemire says streaming does not make money. Huh. I don't think it's made money yet. I really think they're all just investing in what they believe is the future. And I think a version of it will exist in the future, but I think they underestimate how much people love movie theaters.
I mean, what's annoying me now is watching YouTube videos and the number of times commercials show up during like a 10-minute video.
I pay for YouTube. To not get the commercials. It's actually worth it.
They're ramping up the frequency of ads in videos now.
Well, my suggestion is just pay. I think it's $10 a month. It's worth it to get zero commercials.
Yeah.
So Lubitsch Touch Me says, yeah, the production code was awful and did inhibit what type of stories were made. But the fact that so many greats were made speaks to the quality of the filmmakers who knew what they were doing. Yeah, I think the barrier to entry was maybe more back then, much more. And I think it's less now. And I think they're just less experienced people in positions that they probably needed some more experience before they. But everyone in Hollywood fails upward. So there you go. And obviously the pre-code era is boss. Lubitsch Touch Me goes on to say, Holy Hand Grenades. If you want to truly understand the woke agendas about, watch Yuri Bezmenov's full videos. Every single thing he said would happen is happening. Make of that what you will, but watch it. Oh, Yuri Bezmenov. I am going to go put that in my watch history. Yuri Bezmenov. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. If you want to go to shop.filmthreat.com if you want either of the t-shirts it's from the 4 stages of ideological subversion is the video from 1984. Well, there are a couple videos.
He died in 1993.
This one is the longest one. I assume that's a full conversation. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to text it to myself. That's how I know that's how this is what sort of low. You know what I do? So I've worked for companies that they have well, you use this software to keep track of your blah, blah, blah. And this, you know what I do? Here's my work method. Bear with me. I get a little notebook and I make a list and then I just do everything on the list and I cross things off the list when I'm done doing that thing. That is my organizational method for accomplishing my goals. Really simple. That's what I do. Thank you, Holy Hand Grenades, for that. Really appreciate that comment. TT, good to see you here. The money they are losing is pushing the technology forward that gets more done with less dollars. The Unreal Engine is already saving the studios lots of money. Yeah, true. And Shelby AC says, I screwed up. Daryl Hammond, she meant earlier talking about SNL. Dempsey, who's a member, says, I love how people stick their hands into the beehive, then get surprised by being stung. True. Holy Hand Grenades. You ignore reality at your own peril. And Patrick Lemire, everyone should work in the kitchen for 6 months to learn empathy. I've thought that too. I've always thought this is going to sound sort of weird, but I've always thought that we should get back to service for your country. So you graduate high school and you have 2 choices. You can go into a Peace Corps version, which is kind of like a non-military version, and you work for 2 years of service to your country. The service could be everything from cleaning up certain things or traveling around the world and doing 2 years of service. Then you get college for free. But in order to get that, you have to work those 2 years or you go into the military. You have 2 choices. This is why when you look at Israel, you have to serve for 2 years in the military. They do this also in South Korea, service to your country, and then you get benefits. It's then you're kind of earning your citizenship, just like Starship Troopers.
I know. I was just thinking that.
So, but yeah, no, it's like it's important to have.
Mhm.
I mean, look, I grew up. I didn't really know that we were lower middle class because I had a very loving family, and I just didn't. I was just like, well, why do I only have like 2 pairs of pants or a couple? You know what I mean? It's just like, and then you kind of like, oh, and then I've had jobs from the time I was 9 years old doing newspaper routes. So I've always been kind of industrious and like just been entrepreneurial because like, well, if I want that Aurora model kit of Mr. Spock, I have to earn money from my newspaper route to buy that. So I can go to the store and buy comic books and this Aurora model kit that I want. So it was sort of like that was the thing. It's like, if in order to earn my allowance, I had to mow the lawn. And I had certain like tasks I had to, there was no like, and look, I didn't get a lot of money as an allowance. Let's just say that. It was like a token, whatever. But I had to like, in order to do, I had to do jobs. So when I look back, like, I think my family really like pushed me to just be accountable. So there you go. The movie Waiting comes to mind, says Dempsey. JK nonstop crazy talk. Next there will be Next there will be built-in gun removing filters in HD TVs. Drugs and knives, fine though. Yeah, weird time we live in now. Spidey Sensei 72. Everyone can exist in their own echo chamber now. There's no need to even have dialogue with someone that disagrees with you. Yeah, and then we're going to end it on this. Spidey Sensei 72 says, what's that link to? My name is Chato channel. I can't find him on YT. It's spelled Chato, Chato. Chato. So find him there. We didn't get to talk about everything we wanted to talk about, but that's pretty much every show, right? We're going
Par for
to,
the course.
we got a lot of movies.
Cinequest was great.
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about Cinequest while we wrap up?
Yeah, I will say this. I had a lot of fun. It was the whole festival was indie films, but this is the first time I really had a chance to they got me doing Q&As with filmmakers, and I gotta say, it's like a drug now. If you need someone to do your Q&A for your film at a film festival, call me up. I'm there. I'll do it for you. It was a lot of fun. But the nice thing about Cinequest is it really is just about independent films. I think they only had 2 movies, Linoleum and Spin Me Round, that had any big names in it. Linoleum, Jim Gaffigan was there to introduce his film Linoleum, and I believe later on in the week, Alison Brie was there to talk about Spin Me Round. But we talk about this all the time. You've got to vary that diet of films and not always go to the big studios. And the nice thing about independent films is we complain all the time about how Hollywood is ruining intellectual property. Well, indie films, it's all brand new stuff. It's all new ideas, and I would definitely go there. 3 films that really struck out to me was The Dinner Parting, which is a comedy, and I will say that indie comedies are very difficult to pull off. We have a trailer to that one there. They did a really good job of that idea of, we're holding a dinner party. The people there, they are lying about themselves, about their jobs, their lives, the situation they're in, and the lies just kind of build upon each other. And it's a well-constructed comedy in that sense. Another movie was Trust, about a woman whose mother commits suicide, and she has to go back to her family to kind of deal with her estate. And a lot of, if you want your movie about family dysfunction, Trust is the movie for you. I know I'm getting into depressing subjects because the third movie I liked was called Continue, and it's about suicide. It's about a woman who tries to commit suicide, gets 5150, and then has to kind of build her way out of that. So that was Cinequest. Those were the kind of the standouts at Cinequest. I got to tell you about one other film. It was called Montreal Girls. We just reviewed it, but the thing behind Montreal Girls is that the director, she boldly stated that this movie was filmed, first movie ever to be shot with chi energy. meaning that the entire cast and crew that they got them together. She taught them how to align their chakras, how to tap into their energy, and they made a whole movie based on that. And I think a lot of it was about the idea of, to have kind of a set that was where everyone was aligned together, everyone was working together. So it was an interesting conversation afterwards when she talked about the whole chi energy and building a movie around that. So that was Cinequest. Again, it is one of my favorite. It has become one of my favorite film festivals, just by the quality of the films they brought in, and the quality. Oh, and how organized it was run. Because I can tell you, I've been to a lot of unorganized film festivals. Hey, you're back.
I'm back. Yes. Did you hear my toilet flush?
No, I didn't.
I just want to know how good my microphone is.
Yeah. No, I was just talking about this film Montreal Girls was.
I heard everything you said.
All on chi energy. So
yeah. And then Shucksy, who's a member. I love today's discussion. Had a lot of fun. Yeah. Today we came in with a couple of movies to talk about. Definitely wanted to talk about House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings of Power coming out. But yeah, we will go down a rabbit hole talking about other things. Really, the chat does kind of drive the conversation. So that's why we appreciate you so much. Over 250 people watching. Please slap that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And by slap, I mean...
Within a barrel.
Get busy, come on.
I think the monkey was Scrooged.
A final comment here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, become a member, and drink your Ovaltine. Drink your Ovaltine. Remember when Ralphie got that message? He was very upset. He's very upset. But we'll be back Friday 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a big show. Reviews of movies that are opening in theaters this weekend. In addition, the directors of both The Invitation and Funny Pages are going to be here, including the lead actor from Funny Pages. So check out the trailers to those films. If not, check out the films, because I believe that they open on Thursday, and love to have your chat questions here. What else do we want to say, Alan?
Filmthreat.com. More and more reviews coming in, at least 4 or 5 a day. There's no loss of indie films that you couldn't see.
But there is, it's tough with indie films. Like, some can be, we're sitting here like, we tell you about the really good indie films. There are a lot of bad indie films. I would say there's a higher percentage of bad indie films because a lot of people are making movies now. What we're trying to highlight are some of the better ones, or at least the ones that are accessible for you to see, like a Funny Pages that'll be in theaters this weekend. And then, I
was corresponding with the director of Don't Fuck in the Woods, and he has an interesting story to tell.
Why don't you tell it right now?
Well, I mean, it's a little behind the scenes, but his first movie, Don't Fuck in the Woods, he was just talking about how much money he made just in the distribution aspect of it, and I think it would be interesting to maybe have him on, talk about what you do with your film after you finish making it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a reason they made a Don't Fuck in the Woods 2 and a Don't Fuck in the Woods. They're making a Don't Fuck in the Woods 3. So that's an indie movie I would recommend, just because it's like an over-the-top type of genre they don't make anymore. I mean, they don't make certain types of horror films.
They will never make that horror.
They'll never make it. But yeah, that one is totally worth. And if you want to contact us for any reason, just go to filmthreat.com/contact. In addition, you can go to filmthreat.com/newsletter, subscribe to our email newsletter. We send it out a couple times a week just to kind of remind you, hey, we're going live, or, deals on merch, etc. And I don't know, Alan, what's take us out here, Alan.
All right, let's get out of here.
fucking shit, these reviews are delicious.